This is Powered Paragliding News and Reviews in Panama City Beach 2011. I'm Jeff Goyne. I'm with Eric Dufour of Paratour, one of our sport's longest time instructors. Welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey Jeff, well, what about myself? I've been doing this for so long now. It's going to be 19 years in June next month.
You started in what year?
In 92, and flying and teaching in 93, start my school.
What did you do before then?
I was a skydiver, but I was also in the restaurant business to make a living. But I always liked skydiving and airplanes and stuff. I was also a pilot. So
A private pilot?
a private pilot.
Okay. And what about the skydiving?
Oh, skydiving, I did a lot of that. I did like 800 jumps in the early years, and I liked it a lot, and I was already instructing skydiving, and everything came all together, you know. Start to fly paramotor, you have a few friends, teach them how to fly, and
So before the paramotor, though, you were doing these other things. What got you hooked on the paramotor?
oh, look, I see this in the magazine, I see a guy with this on his back, and I said, that's it. They got it. I don't have to take the plane anymore to go up. I can take off right from the ground and stay here. And it's very nice just to look at the parachute. And since I was a skydiver, I mean, 1 and 1 is 2. So
Right.
I started to fly, taught myself how to fly with a friend of mine. It was not too difficult because we did a bit of paragliding also just before that. And it's since this is reading a paragliding magazine in French, because this is where the sport is coming from mostly, that I saw this guy with a motor on his back. Never seen it flying before, but I said, I know what's going on here. I need that.
What was your first paramotor?
It was an adventure.
And the wing?
Oh boy, this is an ITV, an old model Meteor, if I remember. ITV Meteor 28 meter.
So you bought this motor sight unseen, and then what?
Yeah, well, we start to train each other, and the funny thing about this, I didn't know nothing about this, and I was not a mechanic or anything, but I did like a lot of people do. Tried to launch, and never could do it, and ran, and back and forth in the field, but little did I know that I had to put the prop on the wrong, on the right side. So this is what happened on the first time. I tried.
Once you got the prop on the right side?
Boy, that was terrible. That was really great because 10 feet I was in the air. I said, wow, this is what it is all about. But at first I said, I bought this. It's not going to work. And that's real. That's a real story.
Okay, so you got it going, and now you and who else?
I was a friend of mine from Canada.
So you were the only two doing it then?
Yes, that I know of. But in the state, in Quebec, there was another guy doing this also that I didn't know about, and he was Francesco.
Okay.
And we met, and he heard about me doing this stuff, and we start to, you know.
So then, when did the teaching start?
Not very long after, because we started to fly, and we bought 3 machines to get a price, a dealer price, a discount. And the third machine were for sale, so the guy that we sold the machine to, we gave him some instructions. And then some other guys, I want a machine, so we had to teach them how to fly.
Now, was this the friend that you started with?
Yes. The friend that I started with was my help. We helped each other to fly. We had both our machines. And the third one was the real first guy that I taught to.
Okay, and then the school, and how about when you came down here? Well, how did that work?
Well, you know, I was doing this part-time in the summer, and I had another job, and it's very difficult to make a living at this. And my dream was to one day make a living at doing this sport, because that's what I dreamed before in skydiving. I wanted to have my own skydiving center, my plane. It was not so easy, but paramotor was the ideal things to do for me to become a professional and doing it for a living. So I was doing pretty good in the summer, but the winter is so long, as we know, in Canada, so I decided, let's go and see what's going on in Florida. And of course, like all the Canadians, dream of retiring some days in Florida in the winter. So I started to do this, come here, and as you know, in '99 we met in Albuquerque and visit the whole country. And I said, well, I'm going to go all over the state to let them know who I am. And it took me a little while, and from east to west, they finally knew who I was.
So what would you say in paramotoring are your top passions?
My top passions? It's hard because I really like to teach. I'm very passionate about teaching to make good pilots, but I also very like to perform and fly. So I wouldn't say this is competing. I really like competing, but I like mostly performing, doing stuff.
Now, you've been the most winningest champion, U.S. champion, but you're not competing anymore, which I may appreciate, but what's the story there?
It's mostly because the first idea was after a few years, like 4 years in a row, winning. I didn't have a lot of pressure really, truly, until you came in the picture, so I felt that pressure a bit, and I had to work a little harder. But at first it was just fun for me to compete. My wife decided almost for me, you should not compete anymore. And I kind of made a promise that I would not compete, because at one point, you know, you have to keep going and you try to keep your first position all the time, and you have to feel the pressure with the other guys are getting better also. And I could have done a few more years, but I try to keep my words and I don't compete anymore, although I miss that.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
I have to say, but I'm still involved in competition. I judge, I organize competitions, and I do clinic. So I try to stay sharp.
Okay, and a good job you do. And what do you have going now, just real quickly?
The school, we mostly have the glider shop. My wife's taking care of our glider shop, and we sell glider equipment, and I teach, not as much as I did. And this is I decide not to teach as much. Health reason, as you know. I didn't have a good, last 2 years were difficult, but now I'm back and I feel in good shape. And I'm never going to teach as much as I did in the past, but I will still do advanced training, competition, clinic, and stuff like this, but mostly take care of my job and the shop. That's what is. And we sell equipment.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Eric is also the one of the USPA training committee members and does all kinds of other work. So he is far from retired, and after riding a bicycle 40 minutes a day, I think his health is back. Thank you very much, Eric, for being with us.
Hey, you're welcome, Jeff.
All right. Reporting from Panama City Beach for Powered Paragliding News and Reviews, I'm Jeff Goyne.